Hello, friends and followers. Here is a Central Electronics comparison of the 100V and 200V transmitter transformers. This is the power transformer. This is a transformer here that I removed from my 100V. I figured it was too complicated to solid state this transformer, and I thought the primaries were shorted. Here's the black wires for the primaries. These wires here are all for the tube filaments. There's a 12-volt center tap on this transformer. At any rate, I thought this thing had a short because I could never get low enough voltages out of the secondaries to run the capacitors I installed. I was getting more than 500 volts out on the 340 volt windings in this thing, which are supposed to go to the 5U4 and then produce roughly 340 volts for the low B+, and of course the high B+ is 600 volts. Anyway, you can tell you have a 100V transformer because it has a lot more wires. So there are 5-volt wires here to support the running of the 5U4 tubes and the 6AU4 high voltage rectifiers. Anyway, I didn't really want to get involved with converting this thing. This also runs a center tap for the 5U4. I think that was the center tap. It's grounded, and it just made a real mess trying to make the rectification work in this thing, to solid state it. I couldn't even get the tubes to work, so I kind of punted. And luckily, Nick in Louisiana, who is a Central Electronics employee exemplar, did send me this transformer for the sum of $90, which I thought was great. And this is a 200V transformer from a 200V. And this is new old stock that Nick recovered from the company when it shut down. I suppose that Wes gave him all this stuff, but I'm glad Wes did. So to carry on the tradition then of getting a 100V transmitter working, I am replicating this circuit here, which is for the 200V into the 100V. And that starts off, of course, with this 200V transformer here. So as far as this silicon rectifier being so many diodes, I plan to put that back in the tube socket and use 4 diodes in a bridge, because I have some 3 kilovolt diodes. I'm not going to bother making that whole mess there. And so then I wanted to verify that these wires were correct in this thing, and I was able to ohm out the wires on this 200V power transformer. And in case you're contemplating how to do this, and for archival purposes, I'll figure out what I have here. So this transformer needs to have line voltage, and I figured out that these 2 wires here are for the, let me turn it around here. It sits in 100V like this, so I'm used to seeing it like this. But here's the, these 2 thin wires here are for the line voltage, or the 117. This doesn't have 230 windings on it. It only runs in 117, or probably 110 actually from the day. So 110 volts into here if you have it. And these are for the primary. I did measure these, and I get about 1.5 ohms on these, or even 0.5 ohms. And that's about right for a primary. These here are for the tubes. It's 6.3 volts at high current to run the entire tube complement in the radio. You can see here on the schematic, there's the black wires and black wires for the primaries, and these are the green wires here for the tubes filaments, and that corresponds to these green wires here. Okay, and so on this side then, these red wires are the high voltage wires here, the red and red. I did measure 28 ohms on those, so verified those with the ohm meter, and those were 28 ohms. So that's these 2 here. This wire here is the center tap. No, it's not a center tap wire. That wire is a what? Yes, it is. It's the red yellow. So this does have a center tap on it. And that's a center tap wire right there. So these 2 are the HV wires. This one is the center tap. And these two blue wires are for the bias supply, and I ohmed those out, and those came out fine. So those are here, and they're about 7.5, and that's for the bias supply. And then we're left with the green wires here for the tubes, which we went over. And those wires are here. And that's about it. So yeah, we covered all these. Bias wires are the two blue for bias supply. And we have two HV wires here. I'm trying to figure out, I see 3 wires here. And why is there this one here? What does that one do, people? So I should only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires on that side. Should have blue and blue and the 3 reds. And what's this guy for? This is a green, yellow. It might be a center tap of some sort. And I wonder if this thing actually has a center tap for 12 volts and it puts out 6 volts. See, that's something that you want to really test before you install this in a radio. So then I'm going to connect this thing up to 125 volts, which is a little too much for it, and measure these wires on my voltmeter and see what I get. I want to make sure I don't goof this up. So the other way to check these is take the ohm meter and figure out what windings connect to this thing and figure out, I bet they're over here, but hard to say. These wires are thick. That one's thick. I bet they're involved with those two there. Anyway, that's my tour of the 200B transformer. I'm just trying to get to know the transformer now and get it back in the radio. Looks like it took a little crash here. Nick did paint this thing really well, by the way. He really spruced it up, and he baked it in an oven too, made it look nice. So anyway, that's the story here. Gonna get this thing figured out. Thanks for watching again. 200B transformer for the 100B rig I'm restoring. Have a great day.